Hi everyone, I'm Nomi. I'm from Mathematics Education Department at State University in Jakarta. And now I will explain you about algebraic properties. At the first, I will show you kinds of algebraic properties. There are commutative property, associativity property, distributive property, identity property, and then inverse property. For the first is about commutative property. There is rule for addition. Changing the order of addends doesn't change the sum. The addends may be numbers or expressions. That is, A plus B is equal to B plus A, where A and B are any scalar. For the example, consider the real numbers 5 and 2. And then we can substitute that to the formula. A plus B is equal to B plus A. 5 plus 2 is equal to 2 plus 5, and then the result is 7 is equal to 7. And then we can conclude that since the sum is same, the commutative property holds for addition. And then the rule for multiplication. Changing the order of vectors doesn't change the product. The vectors may be numbers or expressions. That is, A times B is equal to B times A. For the example, consider the real numbers 15 and negative 2. And we can substitute to the formula A times B is equal to B times A. 15 times negative 2 is equal to negative 2 times 15. And then the result is negative 30 is equal to negative 30. And then we can conclude that since the product is same, the commutative property holds for multiplication. And then for the second kind is associativity property. The associative property defines that grouping of more than two numbers and performing the basic arithmetic operations of addition and multiplication doesn't affect the final result. Note the grouping means placing the parentheses. There are rules for addition. If A, B, and C are any numbers, then the sum of A is added to B is added to C is equal to A is added to the sum of B is added to C holds true. For the example, consider A is negative 2, B is 4, and C is 5. We can substitute to the formula. The sum of negative 2 is added to 4 is added to 5 is equal to the negative 2 is added to the sum of 4 is added to 5. 2 is added to 5 is equal to negative 2 is added to 9, and then the result is 7 is equal to 7. Since the sum is same, the associative property of addition holds true. Therefore, it can be concluded that the grouping of numbers in any order doesn't change the sum. And then there are rules for multiplication. If A, B, and C are any numbers, then the product of A times B times C is equal to A times the product of B times C holds true. For the example, consider A is negative 2, B is 4, and then C is 5. The product of negative 2 times 4 is multiplied by 5, and then is equal to negative 2 times the product of 5 times 5. Negative 8 times 5 is equal to negative 2 times 20. And then the result is negative 40 is equal to negative 40. And then is about distributive property. The distributive property defines that the product of a single term and the sum of difference of two or more terms inside the bracket is same as multiplying its addend by the single term and then adding or subtracting the products. More generally, the property is true for number of addends. A times the sum of B is added to C is added to D is added to etc. is equal to AB is added to AC is added to AB is added to etc. And then A times the difference of B is subtracted by C is subtracted by D is subtracted by etc. is equal to AB is subtracted by AC is subtracted by AB is subtracted by etc. There are rules for multiplication over addition. If A, B, and C are any numbers, then A times the sum of B is added to C is equal to AB is added to AC holds true. The distribution can be done in two ways, namely left distribution and right distribution. That is, if A times the sum of B is added to C is equal to A times B is added to A times C, then it is known as left distributive law. And if the sum of A is added to B is multiplied by C is equal to A times C is added to B times C then it is known as right distributive law. For the example, consider A is 2, B is 4, and C is 9. And we can substitute that to the formula left distributive law. 2 times the sum of 4 is added to 9 is equal to 2 times 4 is added to 2 times 9. 2 times 13 is equal to 8 is added to 18. And then the result is 26 is equal to 26. Since the result is same, the distributive property for multiplication over addition holds true. That is 2 times the sum of 4 is added to 9 is equal to 2 times 4 is added to 2 times 9. And then there is rule for multiplication over subtraction. If A, B, and C are any numbers, then A times the difference of B is subtracted by C is equal to AB is subtracted by AC holds true. Similarly, over to the addition rule, the distribution for multiplication over subtraction can be done in two ways, namely left distribution and right distribution. That is, if A times the difference of B is subtracted by C is equal to A times B is subtracted by A times C, then it is known as left distributive law. And then if the difference of A subtracted by B times C is equal to A times C is subtracted by B times C, then it is known as right distributive law. For the example, consider A is 2, B is 4, and C is 9. We can substitute that to the formula, become 2 times the difference of 4 is subtracted by 9 is equal to 2 times 4 is subtracted by 2 times 9. 2 times negative 5 is 8 is subtracted by 18. And then the result is negative 10 is equal to negative 10. We can conclude that since the result is same, the distributive property for multiplication over subtraction holds true. There is 2 times the difference of 4 is subtracted by 9 is equal to times 4 is subtracted by 2 times 9. And then the next kind of algebra property is identity property. And the first is the additive identity property. The additive identity is 0. That is the sum of any numbers, and 0 is the same number. A is added to 0 is equal to 0 is added to A become A. For example, let 5 be a real number such that 5 is added to 0 is equal to 5. Let x is element of real number such that x is added to 0 is equal to x. And then the multiplicative identity property. The multiplicative identity is 1. That is the product of any number, and 1 is the same number. 8 times 1 is 1 times A is equal to 8. For example, let 6 be a real number such that 6 times 1 is 6. And let x is element of real number such that x times 1 is x. And the last kind is about inverse property. The additive inverse for A is negative A. For every real number, A is added to negative A is equal to negative A is added to A is equal to 0. For example, the additive inverse of negative 7 is negative 1 times negative 7 is equal to 7. That is negative 7 is added to 7 is equal to 0. The multiplicative inverse of a non-zero real number is 1 over non-zero real number A is 1 over A. That is 8 times 1 over A is equal to 1. For example, the multiplicative inverse of 2 is 1 over 2. And that's all from me. I'm sorry if I made mistake in this video. Thank you.